lower. We know how adrenaline works, and we know how mentals are when it comes down to Overwatch. So honestly, Lord, I think this is going to be a very close map. I don't expect this to be a full hold in the slightest. Canisius, they are ready to bring the distance, and especially since, honestly, Flick, Special, Nathaniel, they have been keeping it up, and, you know, at times, Upstate, I feel, is managing to do the small, kind of minimal carries that happened, while Siena, they are all completely doing well. You know, not getting that win, that's going to hurt.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I appreciate that you bring mentals into it, and you know, this is just more proof that, you know, user, you and I are, we kind of share brain cells sometimes. Is, you know, I lose one team fight and my mental just plummets. Imagine drawing a map that you really wanted to win for both of these teams. That was in the agenda, and it wasn't completed. So for both sides, it's now this is their moment, their time in the sun. Siena College with a double bubble composition will be able to dive a little bit closer to that orbital plasma, as opposed to this double shield composition. Convention versus aggression. Let's see who wins.
Well, already not looking, well, too great. They don't really get too much control over that high ground. Continue to come back, and you lose out your Echo. That's a big person you really need for these fights. Thankfully, you're able to get the res. You force out the rotation, and Canisius, they don't all go. Upstate was the only one who goes there, gets picked off as a support. They're stuck. There is a monkey going after you, and it's not really looking too hot anymore. Unfortunately, it seems, as we said, we're not going to be seeing the full hold, and we are going to be seeing Canisius. They're going to have to try to do something on that second point. Though they are having the respawns, at least at Sigma and Ana, for a little bit longer than I expected, I don't really anticipate Canisius really wanting to try and aggress this, being down 2 people.
No, certainly not. This is going to be a forfeit of the first objective, and you know, we're going to look to fortify Street's face. Interesting here, you can see their little chevrons there, the outlines. Interesting to see Upstate on the low ground instead of that that catwalk, the high ground, as we call it in the biz, where Sethri is going to be looking to aggro upon. And really, it's interesting. This is the Winston at work. Now, the Zarya is just enabling them. Look at that. Sethri able to secure a pick with a Primal Rage, very quickly generated. Good stuff.
Primal Rage, one of my most favorite abilities just for those types of moments. Now Canisius are in a very uncomfortable space. I mean, you get the res out. That's by far the biggest thing you're proud of, but your team isn't really able to push forward. You're not able to take this space. Gravitic Flux is that security ultimate that you have, but you are going to be forced to commit it in a second, especially when you're antsy. You get the nano just to be able to kind of sustain yourself for a little bit longer. You find out life, so at least you're snuffing something. And, well, Siena, they are now in a terrible spot, especially when... No, wait, the res! It got blocked by the rock got blocked by the bubble, I do believe, so it's not looking too great. The shatter into the backline isn't really able to get followed up on, though life once again falls. That's the unfortunate part. There is a copy onto an Ana, so they are looking to build up another nano. Unfortunately, we are not going to be seeing 2 people very angry today. Rather, Canisius, they're going to be able to hold for a little bit longer, but the high noon flank, it manages to find out the Ana. The primal goes through, you stop the res. No, they didn't see the Bob, and
the Bob
MVP. Definitely got to give it there. It seems that Canisius, they're going to be able to hold.
And Bob is doing something, man, and Special K is coming up on that tactical visor as well. Mercy's on both sides, but Ghost is going to be the one with a Valkyrie deployed during this fight. Maybe a little early on that revive there after Melee Monster got eliminated, but it's kind of do or die moment there. Sethri goes onto the high ground. We're going to be seeing a lot more of those moments in this upcoming fight.
Yeah, that bubble, interestingly used. You're not going to have it for your next dive, so you just use the nano, and now you're fully committing in. It's understandable. Your Zarya is high charge. You have the grab. There's a lot that you can do with this. However, there is a visor on top of the bridge, and it seems that you don't really notice where it's going as you slowly crumble down. That's 3, no 4, picked off. Canisius, they're finding their movement. They're finding their sway. They're being able to defend this consistently now.
Sethri really feeling the pressure on that Primal Rage as well. You know, as a Zenyatta player, I get a Discord on that Primal Rage Monkey. You know, the call is free ultimate charge, and Nathaniel's going to definitely be feeling a little bit of that freemium there, as well as you're coming up on another nano. Whether or not we see that applied to the Flux here, I think is still up in the air. I think I'd rather see it applied to Upstate to follow up on the Shatter. We'll have to see. CJ Paul is now on the Junkrat again.
Gravidix goes out, was prioritized more on the Zarya, so unfortunately it isn't going to be getting too much, but it does waste that time for a few seconds. Now it's the Zarya out of position and being caught, has to use that grab, or they would have died. The payload gets to move a little further, and they force the rest of Canisius in a weird spot. They're not really touching the point, but they boot the Sigma onto it, though it doesn't matter when CPT manages to find out too, and they are pushing forward. The confusedness coming out of Canisius going to bite them in the butt. As we see Siena, they cap the second point.
It's again for me. It's just the inability of Canisius to really shut down Captain Kellogg and Booker from enabling their DPS player on these aggressive angles. High Noon coming in really influential there. The Nano able to mitigate a little bit of damage down to Nathaniel, but Nathaniel never had the opportunity to really build another gravitic flux. That's a really big pick on the Sethri though.
Ooh.
Sheesh.
I mean, that was a really clean pick. Yeah, it does come through, but that's not really going to be changing too much. But I guess besides from CPT's own willingness to continue poking, I mean, that's confidence that I don't have. I would have been too scared. You managed to break down the shield, and your Ana taking a lot of damage. It seems CPT, they weren't really paying too much attention. It's picked off. You have to notice when your, opponent is there. The Monkey's now return gets the Nano. I mean, the rest of your team is open to get shattered, but you've lost your Mercy, who were stuck, kind of blocked off. The Ana quickly falling through. Canisius, one small mistake has turned to a major one.
Oh, Sethri is just unhinged with these nano blades. There's a zoning, a dead eye from Captain Kellogg, but it's not going to be necessary. It's this is going to be a 3rd-point cap here for Siena College. 2 minutes in the time bank remaining. You used the word comfortable earlier there, user intel, heading into this map, and I'll tell you, comfortable is not what Canisius College is feeling right now. Maybe loosening their collars a little bit, feeling the perspiration on their brow. It's tough because you want to make these picks work, right? You want to make the Reinhardt work. You're getting value out of Melee Monster on the Ana, Ghost on the Mercy, and so on an individual level, you're looking at this and you're saying, look, I've got the gold medals, right? But the big picture, the grand scheme of things, it's getting shut down on the process. User, I've done a lot of talking tonight. I want to hear a little insight from you. What could go better maybe for Canisius College here?
I think what can go better is just kind of paying a bit more attention and definitely that fire. A lot of the points that you've been making, I think, all kind of stem from that issue of just not having the second to look around, see where your opponents are, and kind of adapting to it, especially what we saw happen to Flick. It's caught by CPT, who was continuously there. We saw Nathaniel put up a shield and harass them a little. Unfortunately, that small mistake, that's all they've been making, are smaller individual mistakes that have cost them in the end. But I mean, at least CJ is gonna get hit with it as well.
Absolutely beautiful. Interestingly enough as well, you're running this 6-man, it's not this full composition, it's the 6-man support lineup, the Moira Lucio, and again, I go back to Moira instead of a Bap or an Ana.
More healing, I guess, but you lose out on A, so hey, I think it's truly to their idea. You get that more rush style. Blake is going to get traded in, but look at this, Canisius, they have so much room to move forward. They're really unstressed, carefree, as they take a trip down road. Special, not using Phantom Hammer, truly having the respect. Immortality able to keep them up for a little bit longer, but look at this, CJ in the perfect position just to start taking these angled picks as the Widowmaker are wanting to return. You don't really have the angles that you can anymore, almost looking like the NYXL's old match, because CJ has the perfect angles to rotate, and that is going to be so hard to take out.
Well, and you saw Canisius try and thwart that off angle as well. In fact, Special K connecting with a crit tap right there. That was really nice to watch. I never would have made a shot like that. So you're seeing effort here from Canisius, and I'm really liking that, as well as, going back to the Moira Lucio composition, you're seeing some enablement as well of the lineup. That's really good step in the right direction here.
Love how much CPT really wants to go for this flank with the visor. Unfortunately, gets caught out. The gravitic fluxes, they're traded evenly, though. We're not seeing too much come out of it. I think Booker's Valk, that's what matters the most, though. Look at this, Canisius Their Widowmaker in the back is going to have to step down, not going to be able to move forward using the sight. So now everybody on Canisius in a very bad spot. The High Noon going into the shield. They just have to play very carefully, especially when that shield is in a... I mean, that window is now in a very interesting spot, though. Not going to be getting too much room. I guess it doesn't matter when you have the visor. You're taking down the rest of the squishies. And Canisius, they have to back up. They were already so close to capping that point, but it looks like since they are able to kind of stabilize on the side of Siena.
Yeah, it was a costly fight for Siena, though. You know, they had to use the Gravitic Flux early. They're generating, you know, Sethry's coming up on another one pretty quickly. But as well, you saw the infrared sights, the visor, the window, all deployed. Meanwhile, Canisius has 4 ultimates in the bank, and with the sound barrier, they're looking at a lot of staying presence on the point.
You know, the Flick is losing out on these Widow 1v1s. That's the part that hurts the most, as we see. They can't really push in, though that boop is absolutely beautiful. They're able to run
look,
away.
He gets away.
Look at that. The Flux, the Coalescence, they have to use the sound barrier just to counter it out. Flick using the sights at least is going to give them enough room to know where their opponents are. Look at the Siena basically nullify it by the old tactic of the Kung Fu Pandas walking back. Oh, that Shatter jumps a little forward a bit too predictable. It's not going to be landing down. Upstate's going to be able to land one of their own, and it's going to be able to find out Ace. Live coming down very close, has the window, not going to be able to pop it out as Booker. I mean, they're just trying to escape CPT, able to find out Flick, and this is a question of, do you want to recontest this? You don't have your Reinhardt, but you still have your team, as we see Booker already dangerously low, having to try to survive as long as they can, as CPT's in the backline. Though the Cassidy knows what's going on, I don't think CPT recognizes they're about to die, as we see the Gridded Flux now come in. Nathaniel building it up once more, going after that Mercy, not able to cancel out the rest, but able to take out the Mercy. CP is able to come back into the fight. The Widowmaker now has so much room to shoot, and CPT built up another visor. My goodness, able to get away with so much when it comes down to the flank fights and the Gridded Flux from Seth. The odds have been broken, the rock has hit, and the visor's been popped. Folks, they've got to give a lot of love at Siena College. They have shown themselves to be strong, as Canisius are actually going to get full health today, and it will end in a 3-0.
So once again, we got to see both styles of, or both approaches to this map type. To Dorado as a whole, the full hold of the first objective and the push all the way to the end. Again, just really good stuff coming out from the DPS lineup for Siena College, the consistency that CJ was able to offer, and of course the lethality that Captain Kellogg represents. Siena fought really hard for this. Well, it doesn't